Good morning, beautiful friends. Welcome to 365 Days of Love and Miracles with A Course in Miracles. My name is Arlene Geres, and I am so glad that you are here. Please listen until the very end because we'll have a special treat for you. And if you enjoy today's video, please click the like button below and be sure to subscribe. All of those things help other people to find us on YouTube. Today's lesson is Lesson 8. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. This idea is, of course, the reason why you see only the past. No one really sees anything. He sees only his thoughts projected outward. The mind's preoccupation with the past is the cause of the misconception from time to time from which your seeing suffers. Your mind cannot grasp the present, which is the only time there is. It therefore cannot understand time and cannot, in fact, understand anything. Let's talk about this section. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. That means that I am worried, I'm anxious, and I'm thinking about something that has already happened. I'm not thinking about today. This lesson is really the beginning of helping us to understand the importance of living in the moment, of being fully present to all of the experiences that we encounter every day. No one really sees anything. Now that seems like a silly idea because, of course, unless we're literally blind, we all have the ability to see through our human eyes. But what this is talking about is that our spiritual eyes need to be opened. And that is what A Course in Miracles is helping us to do. Your mind cannot grasp the present, which is the only time there is. If we're in the past or in the future, then we're not seeing the present. The present is all there really is. Everything else is in our minds. It's not happening at all. I don't know about you, but I certainly have tortured myself with all of those old ideas, maybe some memories, some of my regrets that I just can relive over and over again. And sometimes I just want to be able to rewrite the past and make it totally different. From the worldly perspective, we know that that's impossible to do. However, what we can do is when we look through a spiritual perspective, we can rewrite our interpretation of past events and learn how to see them in a much more beautiful way. Let's get back to the reading. The one holy true thought one can hold about the past is that it is not here. To think about it at all is therefore to think about illusions. Very few have realized what is actually entailed in picturing the past or anticipating the future. The mind is actually blank when it does this because it is not really thinking about anything. I just love that. The Course says, when I'm thinking about the past, I'm not thinking about anything. Isn't this such a novel idea? For some of us, it is really hard to accept. What do you mean all this time? I've been thinking about nothing. I think about something all the time. But since the past does not exist, we actually are not thinking about anything at all. Our thinking is just a bunch of stories and illusions that we're making up. They're not real. Let's read on. The purpose of the exercises for today is to begin to train your mind to recognize them, to recognize when it is not really thinking at all. Thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind. The truth is blocked. Recognizing that your mind has been merely blank rather than believing that it is filled with real ideas is the first step to opening the way to vision. We want to learn how to see through spiritual eyes, and we won't be able to do that if our minds are busy over here with thoughts about absolutely nothing. All of that thinking, that hamster wheel that I know I have certainly experienced in my life that runs round and round and round and round with the same stories, the same old thing over and over again. In the past, I used those to beat myself up. But now we are learning there is relief for that, coming to an understanding and an acceptance that my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts opens the door to the idea that there is a brand new way of thinking, a higher way of thinking, and it is absolutely miraculous. Let's get back to the reading. The exercises for today should be done with eyes closed. This is because you actually cannot see anything, and it is easier to recognize that no matter how vividly you may picture a thought, you are not seeing anything. With as little investment as possible, search your mind for the usual minute or so, merely noting the thoughts you find there. Name each one by the central figure or theme it contains and pass on to the next. Introduce the practice period by saying, I seem to be thinking about blank. Then name each of your thoughts specifically. For example, I seem to be thinking about name of a person, about name of an object, about name of an emotion, and so on, concluding at the end of the mind-searching period with, but my mind is preoccupied about past thoughts. Go ahead and close your eyes. I'm just going to read this frame to you, and you fill in the blanks. I seem to be thinking about, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I seem to be thinking about, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Open your eyes if you like. How was that for you? Does it make sense? Settling in? Are you able to accept that none of that is real? This is particularly useful when we are upset for any reason. I seem to be thinking about that fight that I had with my husband this morning. I seem to be thinking about the people who have passed on and that I miss so much. I seem to be thinking about that horrible barking dog that lives behind us. But my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. None of it is real. Don't worry about getting it exactly right. None of us gets it perfect. Don't worry if you still have resistance to these lessons. Don't worry if they don't even really make very much sense at this point. I promise you that if you persevere, it will come together. The more we do these lessons, the more we practice them, the more we remember our morning and evening practice, and we put these practices into our life, the greater rewards we are going to find with them. Let's finish the reading. This can be done 4 or 5 times a day, unless you find it irritates you. If you find it trying, 3 or 4 times is sufficient. You might find it helpful, however, to include your irritation or any emotion that the idea for today may induce in the mind searching itself. So once again, if you find this irritating, or if you find it confusing, or if you find any resistance, then you could even apply this idea. I seem to be thinking about how annoying this lesson is, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I seem to be thinking about how confusing this lesson is, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I promise you that if you persevere, it will all come together. It will make more and more sense as you go through the course. And remember that the course is like a spiral that goes ever deeper with the same principles over and over and over again. None of us gets it perfectly right. All we can do is little by little continue to practice the lessons, continue to open our hearts to these spiritual principles, and continue to allow our minds and our beings to be transformed. Remember to do your morning and your evening practice sessions. And today is encouraging us to do these practices 4 or 5 times a day. What I really like is to do my lesson in the morning when I wake up, and then at lunch, and then again at supper, and then just before I go to bed. If you like, you can squeeze an extra one in there. It won't hurt. They only take a few minutes, and you will notice a remarkable change happening for you when you are consistent and persistent with these lessons. Thanks so much for being here today, everyone. Are you ready for our special treat? Siena, Italy, where the famous horse race takes place in the town square twice a year. Each of the city wards takes pride in their ward colors and is represented at these races. This is a parade by one of the city wards. Wonderful day. I love you.